team at Sullivan. I'm relatively new to Canberra. I'd like to thank the organizer for the event and being selective about the speakers. Well, I will share my views. I have to make a statement before the question, if you will allow me. The whole Westminster system is well known of delivering a by sort of political party. It's either Labour or Liberal. And unfortunately, both of the parties are as bad as each other. And if you will hide the name, you won't recognize the policy, whether it would belong to Labour or Liberal. Thanks God that the Greens are there, especially after the demise of the Democrats. I've got the honor to run for the Australian Democrats for the seat of Moreton in Brisbane at 2007, and simply because I had enough of the right-wing divisive Howard government. The whole political paradigm in Australia is leaning towards conservatism. As Julian Burnside, one of my mentors, explained to me, and that has got historical reasons of embedded colonialism and xenophobia. The white supremacist is live and kicking. And the best evidence that the representative of the Liberal Party was deliberately sick today. When I ran in the election in 2007, the Liberal Party never turned up to the forums. They never wanted to contest, simply because their policies are into conservatism and right-wing. And you know what? You cannot build a society based on progressive economical policies, and you've been mean to the people. So, talking about that, Veronica, keep up going. I'm sure that there is a lot of upper middle class, interesting, enlightened people in this room that our vote will definitely go for you. The problem is the preferential voting. I don't want to give the preferential voting. I would like to punish the Labour for having that shameful stance. From the time of Kim Beazley, he was stumbling about the refugee issue at the Tampa time. I remember that was the beginning of my engagement in politics. Why the Labour is not having guts, why they are not appealing to their grassroots. I came to this country because of the notions of fair go, egalitarianism. It seems that it's an old language, guys. It seems that we live in a very rigid society that everyone is voting from the hip pocket. I'm not going to vote from the hip pocket, I will vote from the heart, like many of you, like this gentleman, like the people that they are coming with a wealth of shared experience. So without us reaching for each other, nothing will change. And those monsters that they are governing us, they will stay there. Now, the question to the panel, how can we stop preaching to the convert in a small rooms like that? How can we reach to the right wing, Reclaim Australia, the people who, I feel sorry for Reclaim Australia. Reclaim Australia is uneducated, unenlightened, white, marginalized. They don't know any better. They are marginalized in their own country. So how can we reach out so we have that a constructive debate? That's one thing. The other question for Helen. Helen, you've got a lot of statistics and facts, but I don't want to impose on you. If I am in your shoe and I'm in that position, I will pay a trip to the refugees at Turkey, at Jordan, and at Syria. You will be crying your bull eyes off to hear their tragedies, because the statistics and the numbers won't tell you the reality. The last thing that I would like to say, that our foreign policy of being aggressor and following a wrong intervention in sovereign countries, whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan, created that refugees, that we created that monster, and we are fearful of the monster that we created. Isn't those policies are feeding into each other? Thank you.
So the first question is, how do we reach people who aren't converted already, and how do we get the message across to them?
Thank you for your question. I think that's a challenge that I've grappled with for most of my life, in fact. Particularly in relation to my previous work, where I've worked very hard for equal rights for women, and have tried to change the world. I came to the conclusion that no one person can change the world, but what we can do, each and every one of us, is change our world. So I can engage in a one-on-one conversation with someone that might make them think about something a little differently or see it from a different point of view. And I would encourage all of you, if you are progressive thinkers, if you want to stand up for the rights of refugees, I encourage you to go out and have those conversations, because that's how we're going to change what's happening.
Thanks. I did talk about our Diversity Goes With Our Territory campaign, and we did do some research on what makes people racist, and the way to appeal to them is to get people they admire. So we got sports people, Nick Kyrgios, as I said, David Morrison, people that they know, that they may think twice about why they've got the opinion they hold. Certainly my job as ACT Human Rights Commissioner, I'm not the federal one, Julian Triggs is, so all I cover is our tiny area, is we take discrimination complaints, and those respondents who've discriminated, we've got to educate them about what their responsibilities are. And we don't do that in a way that criminalises them, we do that in an educative way and to involve them, and you do see people change their minds, and it's often through human stories. The statistics we're there to show is how tiny is our contribution. The exaggeration that makes us feel like, our borders are so porous and we have millions of people coming in, well, no, it's a trickle, and compared to the rest of the world, it's tiny.
I think the second question was around our policies with our foreign policies and the way in which war in a lot of these regions of the world is contributing to a huge influx of refugees. So what role do you think Western intervention plays in the creation of refugees, and what do you do about it?
I think that Western intervention definitely plays a role. I was having that conversation with my own mother today, and for me it's a great source of regret that in some way I think that this nation is responsible in part for creating the diabolical global situation that we have. We have played our part, and therefore we need to take responsibility and provide more people fleeing from that situation with asylum. But really we need to stop fighting. One of the other strong pillars for the Greens is peace and non-violence, and that's another reason why I'm a Greens member. That I can't fault that at all. I'm completely anti-violence in any way, shape or form.
My name is Mohamed Hassan. I'm from the Institute of Business and Education. Being from Syria myself, I always advocate for more refugees to come to Australia. But when I engage in one-on-one conversation with Australians, a fair amount of them, especially people over 50, they say that we have more than 100,000 people, homeless people, Australian people. So why would I get people from Syria or Afghanistan or Iraq, give them shelter, give them house, give them welfare, whereas I have 100,000 Australians homeless? So what's the response for this point from the thank you.
I think we can do both.
Can we elaborate about the big Australia versus the small Australia project, especially the vision of Dick Smith, people like Dick Smith, who always would like to control the number of the population. And besides that, it's a social order that you are stopping those refugees because you would like Australia to be always white. I apologize for the white people here because they are white people with hearts. But what I mean, the white right wing, the essentials. But can we talk about the big Australia versus small Australia?
Maybe we'll do breakfast and come back to the small Australia.
I can certainly, yeah, we will go to that. I think that certainly in terms of the Greens and its proposed plan to deal with refugees and asylum seekers, it's been costed, and it would cost far less than what the current policies cost. I think there'd be a saving of $160 million a year. So that means that even that money could be diverted into services and supports for the homeless. I think that having worked in the homelessness sector myself for many years, we need to look at the underlying causes of what causes homelessness. And most often, in my experience, it comes back down to childhood trauma of some kind or another. Whether a child has, grown up living with violence or been sexually assaulted, abandoned, neglected. These experiences in the early years have long-term effects, result in mental health issues, result in drug and alcohol issues, result in low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, unable to get a job, unable to find a house. It's a vicious circle. You don't have a house, you can't find a job. If you haven't got a job, you can't have a house. So I think that this is certainly another area of focus, and it's taking us, off focus from the refugee and asylum seeking thing, but I absolutely think that we can do both, and we don't need to be doing one at the expense of the other.
I think the biggest glaring budget expenditure is defence, so that'd be where I would come in.
So if I reword Matt's question, if we look at our policies in a conservative government that can be seen to be making the rich richer, do you think that our policies in preventing refugees are contributing to this idea that Australia needs to be a rich nation as opposed to one that's feeding the poor? Would you like to go the curve?
I think the simple answer is yes. I don't know what the solution is of stopping it. Money and power and greed seem to rule more broadly than the heart, the conscience, and our ethics and morals. Again, I think it comes down to us as individuals. I'm doing my bit. That's why I'm standing up and speaking out, because I come from the heart, and I want to try and inject that into the way that we govern this city. And so I hope that my small contribution will make a difference. But it will take many of us to make those contributions to get the broader systemic change that we want.
We need to focus more on social values and get the media on side. I mean, there has been a bit of a campaign at the moment of targeting rich people who don't pay taxes and multinational corporations. That's a great way to raise revenue for poverty and homelessness.
Any other questions?
There is one more.
My name is Hassan Zain. I'm caring very much lately about when I stopped walking, actually. When I was walking, I just every day looking after the kids. So when I stopped walking, I'm caring a lot about human rights in general. And I volunteer with an organization called MARS, which is Migration and Refugee Settlement Service. I have a lot of heart with the refugees. I have actually two simple questions. One is, I noticed lately that most of the people I see are well off. The way they wear, the children, even some of them, many of them speaks English, so they give me the impression that probably they were not in a very bad situation Therefore, they were able to get out of Iraq and get to Jordan or Turkey. So my question, are we really helping the people who are able to reach to the help, or we have a way to help all the people, including those who don't have any means? That's the first question. The second question is actually a little bit related to what Ahmed said. The best solution for refugees is to have a stable country in their country and let them not to need to escape. So, are we really, in general, not only our politicians, but all of us? I will give you a little example because I was born in Egypt. So, in Egypt, we have a stable short time after 60 years of military rules. Then we have a coup, a military coup, and over 5,000 people were killed. Over 45,000 people in the prison now. The coup have to call them terrorists. They are really PhDs and doctors and young students and a lot of people. Anybody say no, he is marked as something and whatever. This actually now leading to a lot of people believe that there is no way through democracy. Young people, I see them in the Facebook, and saying we need force. They're accusing the leaders who are in the prison, staying peaceful. They're raping your women, they put you in the prison, they killed your children. So where are we as a country, as a Western culture, with our media, with everything, to sort of fight this sort of kind of dictatorship, terrible human rights crimes that will definitely could make Egypt another big problem. And after 10 years, we'll be receiving the Egyptians. And we keep, going this way. So I don't know if there's an answer, but if anybody can answer, I would really be happy to give that answer. Thank you.
So maybe I'll break it down to two questions again. So the first question is about the types of refugees that we're helping. So we talked about the sorts of refugees who are incapable of even reaching help. Are we doing enough to help those people?
I think on that one, actually, Australia is not as bad as you would think, because we do have a lot of offshore people that we accept. And as I said, UNHCR is behind that. So America's number one, we're number two, and Canada's number three. But it doesn't mean we can't do more. But I think there is a hidden people in refugee camps overseas. They can be there for 10, 20 years. That's our focus in terms of people who get priority to come, but it may not be visible in the community, so I can't say more than that. In relation to democracy and peaceful resolution, I used to work for the UN, so to me that is probably one of the most appealing things that the UN offers. Is it's got a human rights framework, and to try and resolve those situations in human rights terms. But I know in practice that's very difficult, and Egypt is a hard place, and I wish I could offer more of a solution, but just keep talking and keep forums open is all I can say.
I don't know that I can answer it any more eloquently than Helen has. Except that I would say to you that perhaps it's a bit of a myth as well around refugees and asylum seekers who make it to our shores are those that have more money than others. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that a lot of people believe that they must have had more money than the average person in order to have paid a boat smuggler or whatever. And every time I think about that, I just keep coming back to if it was me and it was my family and I wanted to secure the safety of my family, I would do whatever it took. I would sell the coat off my back.
Could I raise something on